Hey, stop! Before you speak fluently, you have to write a lot. And after you have written a lot, you will be able to speak a lot more fluently. Before and after, very common connectors that you need to learn how to use if you want to write perfect complex sentences. This is you before, this is you after. The tutorial, of course. Let's get started. We are going to go through 3 key ideas. Number 1, what is a complex sentence? Number 2, how to use before and after. And number 3, a structure of sentences that are connected with before and after. First, what is a complex sentence, also known as a subordinated sentence? Well, a complex sentence is made of 2 clauses. One main clause, also known as independent, and a subordinated clause, also known as dependent. The main clause is independent because it's got meaning by itself. It can be fully understood on its own. Whereas the dependent clause or the subordinated cannot be understood on its own. It needs the main clause to be fully understood and fully realized. We're going to see lots of examples, so don't worry if you don't fully understand this right now. Before and after. When do we use them? We use before and after to talk about the order of events in the past or future. Before and after are used to show what happened first and what happened second. Event number 1 and event number 2. I brush my teeth before I go to bed. I brush my teeth is event number 1. Before I go to bed is event number 2, the one that happens after event number 1. Let's now see an example, but in the past. They closed the office before they left the building. They closed the office is event number 1 that happened before they left the building, which is event number 2, which happened after event number 1. Is that making sense or is that confusing you? Shall I repeat it? I'll give you some time to digest it. With before and after, either the main clause or the subordinate clause can come first. Basically, you can swap them over. As you can see, you can say, before I go to bed, I brush my teeth. In this case, event number 2 is placed before event number 1. That doesn't mean that things happen in a reverse order, it's just that grammatically we are swapping them over. We are changing the order of the clauses, but we are not changing the order of the events. Don't get confused by that. And that is why you need to be careful, because you need to insert a comma after event number 2. Obviously, the connector is not there anymore, acting as a bridge, so you need the comma. It is time now for point number 3, a structure of complex sentences connected with before and after. We have already seen the structure of these sentences, but let's run through it one more time. A complex sentence is generally made up of 2 clauses, the main clause and the subordinate clause. A clause has to have several components, such as subject, verb, perhaps an object, location, and time. Here are some examples. I brush my teeth before I go to bed. She eats breakfast before she goes to work. She ate dinner after she exercised. We left the office after we finished all our work. We can switch the order of the sentences. We can place the subordinate clause first and then the main clause. But remember, this doesn't change the order of the event. This is just a grammatical preference. If you switch the order of the clauses, remember that you have to use a comma. For example, before you leave, can you check my report? After you finish, call me. After they play soccer, they usually get something to eat. We can also use nouns and gerunds following before and after. For example, before work, I like to exercise. After eating dinner, she called her mother. Eating here is a gerund. We could say after she ate dinner, she called her mother. I will give it to you before tomorrow morning meeting. Tomorrow morning's meeting is a noun. My life changed after reading this book. Reading is a gerund. You could also say, my life changed after I read this book. There are usually a few different ways to say the same thing using before and after. Let's have a look at the following sentences. She came after she finished her work. That's one way of saying it, but you can also say she came after finishing her work, or after work she came, or after finishing her work she came. That's all. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you learned how to use the subordinating conjunctions before and after. And here you have a copy of the lesson, so you can use it and you can study in detail if you wish to do so. Don't forget to follow and to hit the like button. And if you got any comments, do not hesitate to let me know in the comment section. Thank you very much.